city, and I was starting to take my show on the road. So,
For sure.
thank God everything's working out. It takes a lot of faith to be in this game. You know what
Most
I mean? For
definitely,
real.
man.
Here at Fleetwood-Jourdain Theatre, the production before this one was The Dark Water After. It was true stories from the survivors of Hurricane Katrina. And it's part of theater journalism, which is a new program that I'm bringing here to Fleetwood. And my goal with that is to tell the stories of African Americans and people of the African diaspora in a new and untraditional way. Stories that about our lives that don't get covered properly and that don't get investigated deeply.
Word.
So that was one piece in a series that we'll have throughout 2007 here. Before then, I had the pleasure of doing the Nina Simone story, The High Priestess Speaks, over at Black Ensemble Theater.
Yes.
Before then, I did His Family's Pride, which was over at Columbia, and had readings at several different places in Chicago, Victory Gardens and Black Ensemble. And that was just a story of two young men who were 18 and 20, who were living all sort of undercover lives, and just basically went into detail about homosexuality in our community and how it's dealt on a negative level, and how that repression causes so much internal violence and repressed issues that come forth in the dark. And that sort of also addresses the epidemic with African American women in HIV, and how we're having so many relationships that are open-ended based on repression, and really advocating for us, especially as people of color, to have more of an open communication when it comes to sexuality. And before then, in New York and LA, I did my show, Death of the Letter C, which is collaboration, and the title means the death of everything average. That's the subtitle. And it's about women from all different backgrounds coming together and just basically discussing what it is to be a woman, and to not fall into too many boxes.
Most definitely.
So that was a brief rundown.
Definitely. Hey, that is very, very impressive. I guess the first question that comes to mind is like, how did you get inspired to start doing these kind of things? And when you put on these productions, what exactly is entailed in all that for people who may think, man, I would love to get these ideas out, but I don't know where to start?
Yeah, I was really fortunate to have my path really led for me. I left Evanston when I was 17 and went to New York, and I just had a desire to put my stories out there. I wasn't, at that time, I wasn't into going to school, which for everybody has different routes in their life. And my route was going out there and getting my work out there. And how I started that is very simple, and I encourage artists all the time to do independent work. Because it's definitely about getting your voice out there, not trying to have your voice fit to someone else. So I just began with readings. I would rent out a studio. I put an ad in Backstage. I held auditions. I got a cast. We would have rehearsals at my house, at their house, just underground rehearsals. And we had readings, and from those readings, I'd collect mailing lists. And from those mailing lists, I'd send them letters asking them to support the piece. And I raised over $8,000 when I was 19 and did my first show in New York. So, and then from there on, we just had a lot of support. I did the same thing in LA and San Francisco. And it's really easier than people think.
Certainly.
And it's really about just focusing on project to project to project. And that's kind of been my path, to focus on project at a time.
Definitely.
Well, probably one of the biggest ones is I directed a music video for Public Enemy back in 2000.
Okay, cool.
And a lot of people really like that one. Most recently, actually worked with a young man by the name of Motep. And he's a singer-songwriter who is absolutely amazing. He's like the next Bob Marley or something like that. So as it turns out, I also produce music. So I produced his CD, and then also have done an electronic press kit for him, which has turned out really nice. And we're currently working on a music video for him as well. Is that a very, very good associate of mine, a gentleman who he and I still work with and collaborate with each other, a gentleman by the name of Chris Adams of Impact Studio, who just directed Kick Push for Lupe Fiasco, and now is going to be doing some more music videos for him. So I've been working with him
That's
some
fat.
of those projects as
That's
well,
fat,
and
fat.
very, very excited about it because I don't think anyone who, in hip hop who's been really popular has been saying the type of thing that Lupe's saying now for
No
probably
doubt.
like a good maybe like 10 years or so. It's,
Most
it's
definitely,
been a
most
good
def.
second. So
That's,
yeah.
that's cool, man. Definitely, hype that you can be, part of projects and everything
Yes,
like that.
yes.
So, I mean, why do you think that videos and just the visual mediums, period, are so powerful, like, telling and conveying stories that other forms aren't able to?
Wow. It's a very good question. Really, it goes back to the primal makeup of who we are as people. It's something where pictures are, of course, metaphors, and you can sometimes tell more and convey emotional experience directly
Right.
with a picture. I mean, that's how it is that we as people react.
Right.
When we in our normal lives, see something that say relates to our child, like a child's toy.
Right.
That image, evokes something within us. When we see other types of things within our lives, it evokes energy and everything. So
Certainly.
really, it goes all the way back to that.
Well, I fell into theater. I've always loved to write theater. I feel like theater is the first art form. And it's basic storytelling.
Certainly.
Theater takes place in a kitchen and a living room, and my goal is to, unmystify what
Right.
theater is, and particularly for people of color.
Right.
We have all of the major theater houses having tickets that are anywhere from $35 at the cheapest to $75, $100 for orchestra seats, and that really ostracizes our community.
Right.
And then you have a place like the Goodman Theater, which produces great quality work and has a stellar staff behind it. But the majority of people that get to actually see those African American stories at the Goodman are either, very progressive, well off, or it's a very their subscription base is very narrow, I feel. So my goal is to keep ticket prices as low as possible and to do as high quality as work as possible, to get to the demographics that don't get heard or seen, which is younger and economically less making money, working class people, really.
Right.
I think I do art for working class people.
Most def.
And I think art is always about a message.
Certainly.
If you're not delivering a message, it's great to entertain, but it's more important to leave someone with a thought.
Precise. Now, with this and everything, you talked about trying to keep the cost down for the public, but also obviously, you need to be able to manage your expenses. What kind of challenges do you face with that in trying to, I know definitely like with our company, for example, Illinois, same type goals where we want to keep our products low price, but we also want to, be business savvy. So what kind of first off, what are some of the expenses without necessarily getting into the dollar details unless you want to do that? What are some of the expenses that you have to consider in putting on the show? And how do you balance that out?
I honestly just think if you take care of your actors, it's all going to fall into place.
Certainly.
When I was doing my own work independently, it was on a faith basis that, each person who participated took 5% of the box home every night. And we would get the box office after the show, we'd all count it, we'd split it. I mean, that to me, that's what it's about. It's a collaborative effort. Here at Fleetwood, this is a city theater. It's one of the only African American city-run theaters. We're paid for. We have money, so we don't have to worry about fundraising here. But our costs, we definitely have a budget. We have a limit. And what I do is I try to make sure that I pay the actors, and from there, I don't think it's necessarily about fancy sets or designs or costumes. People will drag stuff out of their closet. They'll call somebody they know. We'll just work it out. And to me, it's about the heart and soul that's on the stage versus anything else. So a lot of my pieces have been very prop low, very set low.
Certainly.
But music involved in it and strong words, powerful hearts, and I think once you bring that, then people kind of, the rest of all the other things that make theater kind of disappear, and they can focus on the words and the people, and then that way we can keep our ticket prices really low.
Well, they really vary, and it does depend, specifically, upon the idea. I will tell you this, though, considering a lot of the digital technology which exists out there, considering a lot of stuff is being shot in HDV now and things like this, some of the prices have really, really, really gone down from an equipment standpoint.